Hi guys, my name is Dorothea. I'm a digital artist working for animation industry as character and background designer. First of all, I have to tell you that I'm not alone today. I have here my sleepy cat. His name is Zafir, and I hope that's okay for you. Right now, the project I've been working on is coming to an end, and I finally have some time to draw for myself. And I think a lot of artists will understand this feeling. It's at that moment when you finally have both time and desire to create something new, something for yourself, some personal art, and that's awesome. You walk around thinking about this all the time, and you analyze the theme, you analyze the story, and what you want to tell the viewer. And at some point, I realized something very shocking for me. I didn't lose the ability to draw. I didn't even lose the ability to come up with some creative design ideas. But I realized that I had become much less used to creating a full image with a story behind it. A piece where there are characters, location, mood, atmosphere, and a visual storytelling, because most of my professional work is more technical and separated into specific tasks. Like I design characters, I design some locations, maybe turnarounds, layouts, prop designs, and I love that work. But it is really different from sitting down and creating one complete image with the characters, with the locations, with some atmosphere and story. And I realized that creating this full storytelling piece felt very difficult for me, and I was shocked. But let me explain to you how this happened and what I'm going to do with this. After working for studios for a long time, I got used to always having a clear task. You usually get a script, a style description, a clear explanation of what you need to draw, and there is always something specific. You understand what color palette you should use, what style your work should match, and what the art will be used for. Is it layout? Is it background design? Is it prop design? Is it characters? And for a long time, I only made art for studios, 8 hours a day, 5 days per week. I was creating work that showed my professional skills in a very specific area. Turnarounds, layouts, backgrounds, no problem. You get a clear task and then you complete it. And then, when I finally had the chance to create absolutely anything that I wanted, I realized that I had no ideas. And drawing for fun became so hard for me. It became very difficult to come up with a theme or a story for my art, and honestly, that scared me a lot. It felt like I have forgotten how to draw at all just for fun, and when I sat in front of the blank page and could draw just anything I wanted, but my mind was like absolutely empty. And then the problem wasn't only I have no ideas, there was also fear of starting a big important piece that would take a lot of energy and then not finishing it. But I also didn't feel like ready for something smaller, simpler, because I honestly didn't see the point in starting a piece if I already knew it wouldn't become my new best work. Maybe this is a fear of a blank page, or maybe this is some kind of extreme perfectionism that makes life harder. But for some people, this may sound strange, but I'm sure there are lots of people who will understand this feeling, and I want you to know that I'm with you. Of course, searching for references and ideas on Pinterest really helps when you need to at least find a topic for your drawing. But even after that, something inside me still stops me from starting this huge piece of work. So I want to honestly share with you how I'm trying to overcome this barrier and how I'm working with this creative muscle, which is imagination. because I think this is every artist's dream, to draw exactly what you want without adjusting to someone else's needs. And of course, it would be absolutely amazing if we got paid for it. I will share my thoughts, my exercises that help me step by step on this journey. So the first thing I do, I search for the artworks that I like. Maybe I try to find some artists that I haven't followed before, or I looked through their links, portfolios, and personal websites to find something that catches my attention, and I'm saving this artwork that I like for myself later. Maybe I like the theme, the atmosphere, the technique. And you can also create separate Pinterest board with artwork you like and think that you would like to try to draw for yourself. You can simply search for random fantasy illustrations, dreamful locations, and so on, and allow yourself to enjoy them and save this inspiration into a folder. Say things that you like, say things that inspire you, and of course, there is a big problem with Pinterest right now because around 70% of the images seem to be made with AI, and that's very annoying because as soon as you notice this, the artwork immediately starts to feel cheaper and less alive. Of course, the easiest thing you can do is just sit down and start drawing something, anything, but actually, even finding a topic to draw is just like a separate task, and sometimes your brain just simply refuses to do anything and it doesn't want to solve any problem. So, usually, I just start by warming myself up. I take some picture and just copy it. This removes the responsibility for searching ideas and transforming them, and at this stage I just simply redrawing something the way I can, and all the questions, all the problems have already been solved for me. I just need to draw the same thing, warm up, and prepare myself for more difficult work. Sometimes I do this on my day off while watching some film or some TV series, and I just copy something and I do not expect perfect professional results from myself. I really like doing this with pencil in a sketchbook because this way it feels like more real and more physical for me. It is just different from making some messy digital sketches and then wanted to delete them because they take up storage. For sketches, I personally like paper much more, but the downside of this approach is that you do not immediately feel benefit of it, because during the process it may feel like you're just wasting your time and doing something useless, because in the end you will not get a strong portfolio piece, and usually you cannot show it even anywhere. So you need to be ready for that, because it really feels like you're just playing around in your free time. And maybe this won't bother everyone, maybe it will mostly affect people like me, some crazy, traumatized, and a little bit obsessive about time and usefulness. And I don't think there is much point in making a perfect one-to-one copy of any artwork, but I do small, like simplified copies when I'd like to study some colors, atmosphere, and composition. But when I want to study rendering, I do something differently. So when I want to study rendering, I first just open this image I'd like to copy in a high resolution Photoshop file. First, I spend some time just studying the brush strokes. I try to understand which brushes do I need to use and how these brush strokes were actually made, and then I start adding new objects into this finished artwork. For example, if there is a cup in the kitchen, I start drawing a very similar cup next to it directly inside the same image, and I try to copy color, I try to copy shape, and this way you can definitely see how well your work matches the original or how much it doesn't match, because your drawing is literally placed inside this example. And for example, I once painted a newspaper into a street scene next to another newspaper. I placed it in a slightly different spot and tried to make it identical to copy the shape, the color, and I don't know, brushstrokes. And this way, even without realizing it, you do a deep analysis of the rendering that you like. But I feel like the most of the time this analysis is actually spent searching for the right brush so it feels close to original. So watching other artists process. For a long time, I didn't understand how useful this was, but watching other artists process really does help, even in a very simple way. For a long time, I was stuck in one way of rendering and I didn't understand how to do it differently. I have my own developed pipeline and it is very hard to break it. When I render, my hand always reaches for the soft brush and it always feels like this is the only correct way to do it. But actually, when you watch other artists' work, especially when you watch the process and see how they paint, like in YouTube videos or maybe some online streams, it doesn't matter. You can see how they paint and you start noticing many things. You can see what they spend time on. You can see where they focus their attention. You can see how they create the small details. And while watching this, you also do a very deep analysis, and later, this can really help you. Also, after watching videos like this, I almost always want to draw right away. And for a long time, I avoided watching artists' drawing processes, like online or offline, doesn't matter. And now I understand that it was really a mistake. I always thought it was just better to spend more time working on my own art than watching someone else draw. And of course, practice is very important. It is actually more important. You cannot only watch videos and never practice because, like, theory without practice it just worth nothing. But I think I have already said in my videos like many times that it is extremely important not only to watch what artists draw, but especially how they draw it. I especially like watching how experienced artists solve certain parts of paintings. For example, when they paint a city with skyscrapers and many buildings, and first it feels like you have to draw every single window by your hand. And when they create some super detailed locations of mountains, of forests, some huge landscapes, and it really looks like they paint every little tree, every tiny detail really carefully. And I really enjoy seeing how they simplify the things, where they add details, where they just leave things loose, and how they make the whole image feel detailed without actually rendering it, without actually rendering every single part for hours. Sometimes these are the parts that I thought would take more than 10 hours of detailed rendering, but then I watch an experienced artist solve them in much smarter and more efficient way. And that was the last point for today. Maybe there will be part 2 if I discover more things for myself. And for now, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate this. You can leave your thoughts, your stories in the comment section, and you can also leave some more comments to support the growth of my channel. I would be extremely happy and it will be so helpful for me. And thank you so much. Subscribe and see you in the next video.